Hey guys, sorry for my week or two absence from making videos. I just needed some time off from YouTube for a bit. But anyways, we are back, and with all of the recent Hellcat news, I thought I'd touch on the topic of the Chrysler 300 again. If you've been a long-time subscriber, you'll know that every few months or so, I find myself making another video on this topic. It's still a car that gets a lot of attention, but unfortunately right now there's some negative attention because Chrysler is really not giving the 300 very much spotlight. And there still isn't an SRT model in North America since 2014, let alone a Hellcat model. I did make a video speaking about the history of the SRT8 and why it got cancelled for my History, Flaws, and Cancellation series, so we can look at those reasons why the 300 SRT got cancelled in the first place, and then cover why I do think now is the time for a Chrysler 300 SRT or even a Hellcat model. You'll find the video outline on screen, and let's jump right in. So first, a quick recap on the 300 SRT8 models. North America did get these from 2005 to 2014, they just didn't get them after that. So the first iteration was the 2005 to 2010 SRT8, which had the 6.1 liter V8 Hemi and made 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 5-speed automatic. The original price tag was around $42,695 US, and this was a special vehicle because it was the first sedan in the world to combine that much luxury and performance at such an affordable cost. Even with a weight of around 4,200 pounds, the SRT8 does 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, the quarter mile in 13 seconds, and can hit a top speed of 171 miles per hour. Overall, there were 13,916 of these sold over the 6 model years. The sales started off really strong, but they really fell off the map towards 2010, as you can see. Fast forward to 2011, and the next generation of the 300 SRT would come out for the 2012 model year. Like the rest of the SRT lineup, the engine changed to the 6.4 liter V8 Hemi, with 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, which added about 50 of each over the previous model, and still had a 5-speed auto. The performance got even better too, with a 0 to 60 time of just 4.3 seconds, the quarter mile in 12.6 seconds, and a top speed of 175 miles per hour. They've added enough extra features here so you can tell that this isn't a normal base model, both inside and out. And again, it was sold for the reasonable price of $48,995. Looking at the sales though, they were surprisingly really dismal, with less and less as the years went on. So as for 2015, the 300 SRT got a facelift, with new features such as adaptive cruise control and forward collision warning, a restyled front and rear fascia, new black and silver mesh chrome grille, and a better Uconnect system. The engine was the same 6.4 Hemi, but the transmission was upgraded to the 8-speed auto. This 2015 SRT 300 was available in over 16 countries, including Belarus, Angola, Australia, New Zealand, Brunei, Zimbabwe, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, the Middle East, and South Africa. Only one problem: it wasn't available in the US or Canada. And after months of waiting, FCA made the announcement that the 300 SRT was officially dead in North America. So now that we've covered our previous 300 SRT, in my last video I had a few reasons why it got cancelled for North America. Those reasons were, number 1, low sales in the United States, number 2, repositioning Dodge and Chrysler brands, and number 3, closely related models in the showroom. So let's go over those. The low sales was the biggest justification for me. With no sales, it's very hard to be profitable on cars and they usually get cancelled. So these sales do include the 300C Touring SRT8 wagon, the SRT Core, as well as all the right-hand drive models and exports. Again, as we covered, the sales started off well for the first gen, peaking in 2006, where there were over 11,000 SRT8s sold worldwide, including over 9,000 in just the US. Sales continued into 2007, with over 400 to 300 of them sold. But for 2008 through to 2010, the sales started to decline in a big way, as Chrysler sold just 2,663 SRT8s, with only 1,073 of those sales coming from the US. But still, over that first gen, Chrysler sold over 18,000 of them, with over 12,000 from the US, so that was enough for them to bring it back for Gen 2. But if we look for Gen 2, they were alarmingly low for the US this time around. Throughout the entire second generation, the US sales only totaled up to be 3,130, and by the last year in 2014, Chrysler only sold 496 of them in North America. That wasn't enough demand for them to want to keep producing the SRT8, so they cancelled it. FCA spokespeople have also talked about how another major reason why the SRT was cut was because FCA had intention to reposition Dodge as their performance division in their 2013 5-year plan, helped by reabsorbing SRT back into that brand. So with SRT shifting back to a Dodge focus, the 300 SRT didn't fit the brand strategy of Chrysler. FCA CEO at the time, Sergio Marchionne, began referring to Chrysler as a people mover brand, and they had the 200 and 300 sedans and the Town & Country minivan in their lineup. Taking a look at the Chrysler 5-year plan in 2013, you can see Chrysler was focusing more on sedans, crossovers, minivans, and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. It didn't make sense for Chrysler to keep injecting the powerful and beastly 300 SRT8 into that lineup when those vehicles were better suited for Dodge, and they weren't selling more than a few hundred per year anyways, as we've been over. The last reason is that there are closely related models in the same showroom. So the two full-size sedans, the Dodge Charger and the Chrysler 300, appeal to two different segments, as the Charger was a more muscular car geared towards performance, while the 300 was less aggressive, an understated performance car with a luxury feel. At the end of the day, the two were mechanically identical and shared almost everything other than looks. Chrysler wanted to get rid of redundancies in their lineup, and unfortunately for those who love the 300 SRT, everything that made that car so great was also available in the Dodge Charger SRT models, and then some, like the Hellcat engine. So there was no point in basically having the same car twice in every Chrysler showroom, creating competition between the Charger and the 300 SRT models. Those who really wanted the 300 SRT might have left the dealership and gone to another brand, but most would have just been happy, or forced into a Charger instead. So now let's move on to my reasons why the 300 SRT would work for us here in North America. I have 5 major reasons here, and some of these are a good rebuttal for the reason that the car was cancelled in the first place. So the first is that this 300 SRT would get people back into the Chrysler showrooms, even if they don't buy that specific model. The exact same thing has already happened with the Dodge Durango. If we look at the sales mix there, you might be surprised to see the SRT 392 Durango accounted for just 2% of the Durango sales through the first half of 2019, which was around 1,300. However, experts do suggest it's an important model that causes a halo effect for other trims like the RT, which sells a whopping 29% of the volume, or over 19,000 units. It also helps bring people into the showroom and draws a ton of attention, especially from the enthusiasts that know exactly what it's about, and also on the online community such as on YouTube. Carl Brower, the executive publisher at Kelley Blue Book, says, quote, "The price points are relatively high, so when people come in to look at it, they might realize, well, it's cool that it's this powerful, but I still can't afford it, or it still seems like too are attracted to the SRT models, but they might end up settling for a 5.7-liter V8 Hemi or even a V6 instead, and Chrysler gets an extra sale. That shows the importance of having the SRT model in the lineup for a brand where its customers really care about performance, and there are still a lot of die-hard Chrysler fans out there as well. Another easy positive is that if Chrysler released something like an SRT 300, it would get so much free attention and huge publicity for the vehicle. Right now, everyone outside the Mopar world thinks Chrysler is kind of dead, and FCA does absolutely no advertising for the 300, so a new flashy SRT model would really help their cause and generate tons of attention. Anytime there are new Hellcats, wide bodies, and all that, the entire automotive YouTube community puts out a video, and many of them buy the vehicles as well if they have a lot of money. So this would all be amazing publicity, all for free for that 300 SRT model. This next reason combats my previous reason for why it got cancelled, which was low sales. Since around 2015, the horsepower wars have really started to explode, with Hellcats, new Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, and the European cars all throwing tons of horsepower into their vehicles to compete with each other. People now expect tons of power on a sports car or a muscle car, and they wouldn't be thrown off with something like an SRT 300. Also, after 6 model years without one, people now might be ready to buy one should it come out, knowing that they are going to be harder to find than your SRT Challenger or Charger. This one is pretty simple, but the 300 is currently built at the Brampton Assembly Plant in Brampton, Ontario, so the vehicles are coming from Canada, and it's not something that FCA would have to import in to sell, so the logistics and distribution make sense. But for my final reason, I understand that Chrysler says that the 300 might not align with their plans going forward as a people mover brand, but I do believe they can still work this vehicle into the mix. It's still a 5-seater sedan, it's an important car for the brand that has been around for a long time, and it's still sold in the same dealership showroom as the other FCA brands, like Dodge. In the worst case, Chrysler should at least offer the 300 SRT as a special edition model for a trial run, or maybe even made to order. That would test the waters using an old platform that's already a cash cow, and see how many they can sell before committing to a full production run. The Hellcat vehicles are selling like crazy across the board, Jeep, Dodge, etc., so why not milk more out of the car before the new gen or before a phase out? So that's the end of this video, guys. I truly do believe that soon is the right time to bring back the 300 SRT, maybe not exactly during 2020 due to the COVID pandemic, but once things are more back to normal, I do think the 300 SRT would be a hit due to the reasons that I discussed. What do you guys think? Would the return of this car be a total bust, or do you think it would succeed? Let me know down in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.